I pretended to have a vasectomy. 2 years later, my wife is pregnant. I am going through a horrible dilemma and I'm so deep in, I have no idea what to do. My wife and I have been married for 9 years and we have 2 kids together and we aren't planning on having any more. Well, my wife is set on that idea, but I wanted to have at least 5 kids and she only wanted to have 1 or none. This doesn't take away from the fact that she is a great mother, it's just her preference. Going into the marriage, we sort of compromised to have maybe 2 or 3 kids. I'm set on having 3, but she didn't want any more. It's been 5 years since having the first 2, and around 2 years ago, she was hell-bent on me getting a vasectomy. I wasn't comfortable with it and refused, but it became the center of our arguments. We dated for 5 years before getting married, so we have been together for a total of 12 years when this occurred. Now we have been together for 14 years. These were such lovely times, and I didn't want to end our relationship on this, especially since we have kids together. So I agreed to the vasectomy after months of arguing. Fast forward to now, my wife is pregnant. She doesn't know how this could have happened, but I do. I never got the vasectomy. 2 years ago, I pretended that I got it and I told her someone else took me to the appointment. I took off a week of work so I could recover from it. I tried to be cautious while sleeping with my wife, but it obviously didn't work. Now my wife is furious as I told her that the vasectomy could have failed rather than telling her the truth. She's also scheduling appointments with lawyers so she can sue the practice in which I received the surgery. However, if they have the records, it will prove that I never got it. Now my wife is also thinking about having an abortion, but I'm trying to convince her to drop this whole thing, and if anything, this child is a miracle. What should I do now? I'm worried if I tell her the truth that she will leave me. I don't want to lose her. She's the love of my life. I know that this is my fault, but please help me on how I should go about this. Am I wrong for posting videos of my niece and nephew misbehaving in response to my sister's complaints that I did not want them at my birthday dinner? My sister Angel claims to use hands-off parenting with my niece Sophia and nephew Parker. In actuality, Angel is entirely permissive and refuses to discipline them. She expects other adults to step in when Sophia and Parker's behavior is getting out of hand. For this reason, I asked Angel to get a babysitter for Sophia and Parker if she wanted to attend my 27th birthday. I love Sophia and Parker as their aunt, but at the same time, I want a peaceful evening to celebrate my birthday instead of dealing with Sophia and Parker's behavior because I know Angel isn't going to discipline them herself. Angel acted understanding when I made this request and explained my reasons to her in person, but then she went online and made a Facebook post accusing me of hating Sophia and Parker and trying to punish Angel by only inviting our sister Jessica's kid, Megan, to my birthday dinner. Never mind that Megan is 17 and is practically an adult herself. The fact that she went to social media to air out your family drama shows the type of person that she is. I'm already on your side. Several of our relatives and mutual acquaintances called me out and said that I was an asshole and was excluding a 10 and 7-year-old. I responded to Angel's post by sharing 2 videos of Sophia and Parker misbehaving while Angel did nothing. The first video was a recording taken by Megan, where Sophia and Parker were throwing tantrums and yelling at her. Megan was trying to calm Sophia and Parker down while Angel was on her tablet ignoring the situation. The other video was one that Angel took. Sophia and Parker were yelling, throwing toys at each other, and Parker even called his sister a bad word. Angel was laughing as if it were funny and was again doing nothing to discipline Sophia or Parker. I wrote alongside the videos that I love Sophia and Parker as their aunt, but at the same time I want a peaceful evening to celebrate my birthday, and I don't want to be stuck disciplining Sophia and Parker because clearly Angel won't. Angel ended up not coming to my birthday at all. My parents told me that I was in the wrong for sharing those videos because everyone's children have acted up and posting those videos didn't accomplish anything besides embarrassing Angel. They also said I could have compromised by having a nobody under 18 rule for my birthday dinner. Megan would not have been able to attend, but Sophia and Parker wouldn't feel excluded. I do not see how that would be fair to myself or Megan. So, am I the asshole for not wanting to make a compromise for my birthday dinner?
Am I wrong for screaming at my husband and his sister to get out of my kitchen? My husband's sister, 38, lives with us and our kids. I'm well beyond fed up with her being here because of food issues, and that's honestly the only reason. So basically, every time I make food, his sister will come in the kitchen and doctor up the food I'm making to her liking. Like I made steak and shrimp the other day like Applebee's, and she waited until I left the room to put a full stick of butter in my shrimp that was already done. And when I came back in, she goes, "I'm pretty sure that's the taste you were looking for," and completely ruined it. It was literally trash. Or whenever I make spaghetti, she'll literally start dumping sugar into the sauce. And to a point of sweet spaghetti that me and my kids outright refuse to touch because it's nasty. Now, I don't mind a little bit of sugar in my spaghetti, but let me know down below if you guys are a fan, if you're heavy-handed, or if you don't want sugar anywhere near your spaghetti. But every single time she can get away with it, she's doing something to the food. Am I wrong for screaming at my husband and his sister to get out of my kitchen? Every single time she can get away with it, she's doing something to the food. Anyways, my husband has started to do the same thing. I was making homemade mac and cheese and cheeseburgers when I went to go to the basement to the chest freezer. I grabbed the vegetables I needed, and when I came upstairs, my husband was putting canned chicken into the mac and cheese. And he knows the kids absolutely hate the taste of that. And his sister was pushing blocks of blue cheese into the partially cooked burgers. I asked them what the F they were doing because I've told them so many times to stop messing with the food, and neither of them had a good excuse. Except for the fact that they were just helping, so I flipped out and told them to get the F out of my kitchen. They both told me I'm overreacting, but the thing is, I've openly asked sister-in-law to cook several times and she won't. But she won't stop messing with the food that I'm making. My husband does cook often, but he knows how I feel about people messing with my food. Am I wrong for not keeping my thoughts on my sister's ridiculous baby names, Stanford and Yale, to myself? I'm the youngest of 3 siblings. There's me, 34 male, my sister Katie, 35 female, and my brother Ian, 38 male. Out of the 3 of us, Katie is the one who made it, in her words. She attended Yale Law School, and she's engaged to a neurosurgeon, Daniel, who attended Stanford Medical School. Over the years, it's become clear that Katie looks down on me and Ian because we aren't as ambitious or successful or credential as she is. Katie has expressed her astonishment that the family business is profitable even though someone who got C's in high school and never went to college, me, has been running the day-to-day operations for 10 years. She even once told Ian to his face that he wasted his potential by dropping out of college to help mom run the family business after dad passed away. Well, Katie and Daniel recently posted that Katie is pregnant with twin boys and their names would be Stanford and Yale. Am I wrong for not keeping my thoughts on my sister's ridiculous baby names, Stanford and Yale, to myself? Katie and Daniel recently posted that Katie is pregnant with twin boys and their names will be Stanford and Yale. Of course I commented congratulations, but later I did shoot her a text. I told her it wasn't right to give the boys ridiculous names that would put them under immense pressure to succeed from a very young age. I also asked her what would happen if one or both of them weren't as successful as she'd hoped. Katie didn't like the points I made and texted back I wasn't asking for opinions, especially from someone like you. Consider yourself uninvited from our wedding until you sincerely apologize. Honestly, I was already leaning towards not attending due to Katie's condescending attitude, but the someone like you comment sealed the deal. I vented to my brother Ian and told him what happened, but he said that I should have kept my thoughts to myself. Top comment says you're not wrong. Parents should be steered away from giving their children highly bullyable names.
Am I in the wrong for kidnapping my baby, causing my husband to have a panic attack? I, 29 female, recently started working again after having my daughter, who's 4 months old now. Daycare is too expensive, so my husband, 35 male, reluctantly agreed to stay home. It's important to know that he's been unemployed since 2021. He receives benefits. It's also important to know that he's extremely lazy. He doesn't cook, clean, or help out in any way. I was nervous about leaving her home with her father, but I had no choice. When I came back from work, she was clean and sleeping. The next few times I came home, he was either playing with her, feeding her, or out for a walk with her. I was happy. A few days ago, my neighbor told me that as soon as I leave, the baby cries and she cries for hours. My neighbor said that she knocked on our door and he finally answered it. He was sleeping. I concluded that he sleeps all day and night. Before I come home, he pretends to take care of her. I decided to take the day off work. I left home at my regular time, waited 30 minutes and then went home. Sure enough, he was knocked out of sleep with his stupid noise-canceling headphones on. I went to my daughter's room, scooped her up and took her to my friend's house. I waited about 2 hours and I finally called him to tell him that I was coming home early. He called me back saying that he can't find the baby. He told me that he was going to call the police, but before he did, I told him what I did. He called me an a-hole and a lot of other words too. When I got home, his mother was there calming his nerves because he was having a panic attack. She also called me an a-hole. My husband decided to sleep at our house. Family members are telling me that I'm a terrible person. I know it was extreme, but I don't know if I would consider myself an a-hole. So, am I in the wrong here? Am I in the wrong for begging my girlfriend to uphold a sexist tradition just so that she can make a good first impression? I have a big family that's incredibly close. We have big family dinners every few months where we all meet at my great-grandfather's estate and eat together. Typically, how this works is that the women go cook for the time that they're there, and the men don't, which I'm fully aware is sexist as hell. That being said, I am one of the youngest people in the family, and my protests mean literally nothing. Some of those women choose not to cook. However, this is usually met with a level of ostracizing. The women who don't cook are wives and long-term girlfriends, so they kinda already have a good family relationship doctored in. When I've seen new partners not cook, it's gone bad. Like completely ostracized, not speaking, cattiness, rudeness, etc. This dinner will be in 2 weeks and my girlfriend was asked if she would attend. Initially she said yes, which is great. I want her to meet everyone and for everyone to get used to her being around. But when I explained to her the tradition, she was understandably bothered. I told her that I understood where she was coming from. However, it was best for everyone if she just played along. I told her this isn't a permanent thing and that I'm only asking her to do this so that she can avoid bad treatment from the rest of the family. This is her first impression and I don't think it's best if we cause waves. She told me that it's unacceptable and that if she has to do that, she will not be going. I've tried to find a compromise with her on this, but she won't budge and she's pissed at me. She told me that if I think it's acceptable to make her do this, then I'm just as bad as everyone else. My point is that she needs to make a good first impression. My wife asked me to choose between my mom and her, and I think I'm going to divorce her. A little background. My mom and dad were both orphans. My dad died 2 weeks before I was born. My mom didn't really have a support system, so we were just the two of us. I never lacked for anything because my mother worked all of her life to give me the life that I have today, and didn't have time for herself to start a new life again. She did all the little jobs possible so that we didn't miss anything. She deprived herself of food to give me food. I had very good clothes while she had none. I saw her make sacrifices again and again, and always with a smile. Frankly, I always thought that she was an angel dressed in a human body. The only time she yelled at me was when I was 16 when I saw her getting sick and working at the same time. But she was angry and told me it was not my job to take care of her and it was up to her to take care of me. She wanted me to get really good grades and get into the best universities. It's the only way I can protect myself when she can't anymore. Even at university, she didn't want me to work. I had to be focused on my studies. But she wanted me to volunteer so that I could be an adult who could do something with his hands. My wife and I met there while we both volunteered. My wife is a good person, but she was never close to her parents or her siblings. Yet she adored my mother since she met her. There were times when I thought that she loved my mother more than she loved me, and we laughed about it. Deep down, I think she was looking for the bond between mother and daughter that she did not have from her mother. When I finished my studies, I found a job, we moved in together, but she wasn't comfortable that I called my mom every day. Remind you, those are 10 to 15 minute calls. But eventually she stopped bringing it up. 2 years later, I bought a house for my mom. Because we never had a house in our name. We lived from apartment to apartment. So for all the sacrifices she made, it was for me the least of it and it was non-negotiable. That's when the problem started with my wife, then girlfriend. She wanted me to think about us first. I told her that my dream had always been to buy my mom a house since I was little and that's what I had to do. But she complained about it to my mom. My mom didn't even know that I bought a house for her as it was supposed to be a surprise for her birthday. She was uncomfortable of receiving the house because of my wife and told me that it wasn't necessary that we could use it for us when we get married. I was furious. I told my mother that the house was for her and she could do with it whatever she wanted, but it was time for her to think about herself first. Our relationship survived that. We got married and then we had our own house. Our life was going well until 2 months ago when my mother fell ill. I wanted her to come and live with us so that I could take care of her, but my wife didn't want to. I then decided to rent an apartment with my own money right next to our house so that I could be close to her and go there to take care of her. But even that idea didn't sit well with my wife. Me and my wife don't have children yet. We both work. I usually come home at 6 p.m. But since my mother is sick, I go to see her and then come home around 8 p.m. On weekends, I see her for about 1 or 2 hours and then the rest of the time I spend with my wife. We go on dates and I always accompany her in her hobbies even though she never went to mine. 2 days ago, she told me that she thought about it and she thinks that I prioritize my mom way too much. She told me that I had to choose between my mother and the life that I want to build with her. The truth is that I've never made her feel that way. We both work, but I'm the one who cooks, and I pay a person to do the housework. I make sure I make the dishes that she likes. She didn't even know what I like to eat because I never complain. I run her baths, give her massages, flowers, write her poems that I hide somewhere in the house for her to find out. We go on a trip 1 week in a month. I earn much more money than her. I told her to keep her money for herself, and I take care of all the bills, even hers. I always make sure to listen to her and consider her opinion. And I think that I'm easygoing because I can change my mind to accommodate hers. But I realize that she tries completely to dominate me, and the only subject where I don't give her a choice is my relationship with my mother. My ex-girlfriend got revenge on me and I'm so broken. I'm male 25, I've been with my ex-girlfriend Carly, female 23 for nearly 10 years. We were high school sweethearts and we had a good relationship until after she completed college. Adulthood has been putting strain on our relationship, so bills and finding sustaining jobs has been a challenge. We started arguing a bunch and just started overall being annoyed with each other's existence. We weren't sleeping in the same room, let alone be intimate. It was a tough time to say the least. We tried therapy and I felt like it wasn't working. I honestly wanted to be done, but I couldn't break up with her because we lived together and she helped me get out of debt. So I did something horrible and I started cheating on her with her childhood best friend. I thought she would never find out, and I was wrong. Yesterday afternoon, I came home and she wanted to talk, and without hesitation, she jumped straight into it and asked me point blank if I was cheating on her. And I, of course, try to lie, and she just starts laughing and says, I knew you weren't going to admit it, but I was going to give you the benefit of the doubt. So now I just feel less guilty. I just confessed to her, and she just looked at me like she didn't have any expression nor speak. When I finished, she just laughed and told me that I would never forget it. She said, honestly, it's fine because Louis was over last weekend and we had a great time. My heart dropped to my stomach because Louis is my big brother. I just thought it was a low blow on Carly given she knew how insecure I was about my brother. He's the golden child and literally always did things 10 times better than me. I'm stuck having to have some sort of relationship with him, and meanwhile she can just drop her friend. My chest and heart has been hurting so much since I found out and I'm broken. I know I was wrong for cheating first, but if she knew, why didn't she just break up with me first? I call it at work because I feel like throwing up just thinking about it.